Welcome everyone to B2B Story Time Live. This is the place where we uncover business professional wisdom hidden in children's books, where we believe that you are never too old to learn. Tonight, we are reading a book that I recently have found and I'm excited about. It is called The Year We Learned to Fly. It is by the lovely authoress, Miss Jacqueline Woodson, and is illustrated by Rafael Lopez. I will be reading this, and then we will be unpacking this book and talking about the wisdom that it holds for us professionals in our professional journey and career. I would love to see you if you're joining us today. I would love to see your comments in the comment section, helping me reflect on how we can find wisdom from this book. So without further ado, we will read this lovely book called The Year We Learned to Fly. The Year We Learned to Fly. You best believe I'm going to be showing you all of the pictures because these illustrations by Rafael Lopez are beautiful. That was the year we learned to fly. That was the spring when the rain seemed like it would never stop, and the thunder boomed so hard we weren't allowed to go outside. Use those beautiful, brilliant minds of yours, my grandmother said. Lift your arms, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and believe in a thing. Somebody, somewhere, at some point was just as bored as you are now. So my brother and I closed our eyes, and for a few minutes that first day, we weren't stuck in the apartment anymore. We were flying all over the city we'd known our whole lives, but it was suddenly different, exploding with every kind of flower we'd ever dreamed of growing. That was the summer that we learned to fly, when my brother and I couldn't stop fussing with each other over those over whose turn it was to wash the windows, to feed the dog, or to clean the kitchen. We fought and frowned and made silent promises never to speak to each other again. My grandmother said, "Lift your arms, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and stop being so mean about everything. Somebody, somewhere, was just as mad as you are now." And so we did. And as the soft wind took us out over the city and past the windows of the kids who hadn't learned to fly yet, my brother and I reached for each other's hand, flying and diving and laughing and leaving all of our mad far behind us. I love these illustrations. They're so beautiful. That was the autumn. Our rooms felt too big and lonely, with only us in them and the darkness coming on so fast. But while we hugged ourselves against the too quiet of it all, we remembered that we didn't have to be stuck anywhere, anymore. My grandmother had learned to fly from the people who came before. They were the aunts and uncles and cousins who were brought here on huge ships, their wrists and ankles cuffed in iron. But my grandmother said, nobody can ever cuff your beautiful, brilliant mind. I love that. Nobody can ever cuff your beautiful, brilliant mind. So our people learned to fly, she said. They dreamed a thing and made it happen, closed their eyes and flew away home. Lift your arms, grandmother said. Close your eyes and remember, somebody, somewhere, at some point, had to figure out that they could fly. That was the winter we moved away from the building and the block and the friends we'd always known. To a street where kids looked at us funny and didn't even answer when we asked them if they wanted to play. It's okay, I said to my brother. Somebody, somewhere, at some point, had to figure out they were ready for a new thing coming their way. So like the people who came before us, we lifted our arms even higher, closed our eyes even tighter, and breathed even deeper, and flew the way we'd always known how to, free as the aunties and uncles and cousins who'd come before us, free as our own beautiful, brilliant minds. For a long time, the kids on the ground watched us. Then one by one, they lifted their arms. One by one, they too learned to fly. The end. What a beautiful book. So here is the part where we talk about how this applies to business and life. And for me, this book, The Year We Learned to Fly, comes in as very relevant to most of us right now. It's a tough time in the job market. It's a very tough time. And we're seeing layoffs left and right. And when we went through this time during the pandemic, it was amazing to see how many people succeeded, grew businesses, tried things that they had never thought they could try before. And I just really want us not to forget that. COVID, for many people, was the year they learned to fly, the time they learned to fly, to make it on their own, to start a new business, to dig in deep and start a new creative venture. And we can still do that. Industries right now are struggling, especially the tech industry. And typically, marketing is one of the first to go. I myself lost my job. And while that is tough, what I keep digging deep into is that when things get tough, the human brain gets even tougher. And it's exciting to see what can emerge from you when you least expect it. Like she said in the book, that refrain, somebody, somewhere, at some point, was just as mad as you are now. Or in the beginning when it says, Somebody somewhere at some point was just as bored as you are now. Somebody somewhere at some point was just as lonely as you are now. For me, what this means and what this spoke to is that somebody somewhere at some point was just as desperate as you are now, without a job, in fear, not understanding where to go. And it's important that we remember that there's this grit and gumption inside of us that is miraculous and amazing. And somebody somewhere has felt exactly the same way that you feel right now. Exactly the same hurt, exactly the same pain. And really, that's just to say that you're not alone. We're not alone. We're not alone in this crazy job market, in this crazy world that feels like it's burning to the ground. We're not alone. We're not. And this is the time, this precious time, that we get to learn to fly. We get to test what we're about, what we're made of. We get to decide who we want to be. And I don't know about you, but I, for sure, want to challenge myself to be something even more brilliant and even brighter than I've been in the past. And for me, that's something that's saying something. I had a lot of fear when I started on LinkedIn of being seen and known. I still have a lot of fear. As a female, being seen and known in a corporate sphere and especially in social media, you can get a lot of pushback. You can get a lot of people targeting you, lewd people saying things that, are inappropriate. And you can get people that are threatened by you. And I can't even tell you how many times I've hesitated on pushing publish on a post because I was afraid of what might happen. And I can tell you this unequivocally, that most of those fears never came true. And most of the things that I thought were going to happen have not. Will they someday? Maybe, but they haven't yet. And as I've continued to grow my personal brand and grow my career and learn to fly, I keep remembering when I reach these tough points that somebody, somewhere, at some point was right here in this place that felt impossible, that felt like the world was ending. And they got up every day. They put their pants on, they put their shoes on, and they kept doing what they were doing. And really, that's kind of what I'm doing here today with B2B Story Time. I love children's books. I love reading them. I love words. The weirdest part is I'm dyslexic. So it's actually really scary for me. I don't know if you notice the cadence with which I read rather slow. But it makes me treasure the words even more. And I treasure some of these parts in myself that I thought were flaws. And professionally, I'm realizing that some of those things that I thought were flaws are actually what make me most effective and differentiate me the most in a job market. For instance, there's been a lot of studies with dyslexic brains, and the reason why sometimes there's like hesitation or slower reading is because their brain is making twice as many connections as a neurotypical person while they're reading. And I can definitely attest to that. When I'm reading something, I'm making all kinds of connections that, most people wouldn't. And that, for me, in marketing, is marketing gold. It gives me ideas that nobody else would have. Like, who the hell would think, to be honest, who the hell would think to read a storybook live on LinkedIn? Maybe this is going to be a mistake, but you know what? I don't really care. This is just exciting. It's exciting for me to take this time to learn to fly. And I hope you do too. I hope if you're out there and you're confused and you're unsure about where you're going next or what you have to do next, first, remember, you are not alone. I'm right there with you. You're not alone. Second, remember, beyond just me, somebody, somewhere, at some point, was in just as desperate of a situation as you are. And they woke up and they made it through. And you can too. I promise you. I promise you, you can. And this is your opportunity. This is your time to learn to fly. I'm taking it too. So if you got anything out of this, I would love for you to like and share it or comment. I purposely did this at sort of a later time and didn't really tell anyone that I was doing this inaugural B2B Story Time because I wanted it to be rather special and unique. So if you came across it in your feed and you enjoyed it, please feel free to share it with others and tune in again. I'm not sure when B2B Story Time is going to be happening next, but rest assured, it will be happening again soon. Have a wonderful night. And I don't know what my sign off should be. Read more books. Yeah, that's my sign off. Read more books. Have a good